welcome to another edition of the Sal Greco Show. And I'm your host, Sal Greco. Thank you all for tuning in. I see you all in the chat already. Frankie Palaguacci, Matt O'Brien, Fox, Jason, Lone Silencer, 92 Charlie. Special shout out to you. Hassan, the chatterbox. I don't know where he is. He's usually in here, but, good afternoon to you all, especially you guys. You're always here. Also, if you can, since you're watching us, hopefully on YouTube, on the Finest Unfiltered channel on our network, please hit that like, share, subscribe button, hit the notification bell as well. We're marching towards 70,000 subscribers. I was hoping we would have that by the weekend, but, we'll get there anyway. But just let's get more subscribers. Let's get to 70,000. Then let's get to 80,000 and so on and so forth. If you're watching us on Rumble, please hit that like button, hit the Rumble button. And if you're watching us live streaming all over the world on X right now, please hit the like button and share this out to all your friends, especially those in the low information bubble. There it is. There's the YouTube. We're right there. We're almost at 70,000. We're about 600 and, 650. It's a small number because we get thousands of subscribers a day. But if you can, please tell your friends to subscribe, even some of the haters. Some haters are no longer in the chat. I wonder what happened there. But there's a lot to get to before I get to my guest, but it's all relevant and around the same area. So came to my attention, there was a NYPD officer that lost a month's pay. A month's pay. This was the headline. NYPD cop loses month pay for kneeling on back of Manhattan suspect who yelled, "I can't breathe." That's very interesting because there was someone who, I don't know, he's a deputy mayor, public safety. He's the assistant commissioner. Then he's the deputy commissioner in the NYPD, but he was a detective. He kneeled on someone's back. And that case actually went to CCRB, the same place that this officer's claim went to. But the board determined it had no jurisdiction to prosecute the one and only Kaz Daughtry. Last year, this was in 2024, because his new position was a civilian one, but he was still carrying a gun and still taking police action. So why wasn't he charged the way this officer was? Why is CCRB going after a regular cop who kneeled on someone's back, and then the soccer mom agrees with all that nonsense, but Kaz Daughtry gets away with it? By the way, speaking of Kaz Daughtry, there's a strong rumor. And when a certain big publication runs around with this, Kaz Daughtry is trying to interview to become the next FBI deputy director. So Kaz Daughtry is going to replace Dan Bongino, the most insignificant deputy director in the history of the FBI. And he's going to join Kaz Daughtry Light, which is Kaj Patel. Now you got Abbott and Costello running the FBI. Imagine that. Does anyone know? I mean, does the FBI realize that Kaz Daughtry is on a Brady list? Can't even testify in court. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. But that is something that a certain large publication is calling around, asking about. And when they call, it's more than likely very true. So Kaz Daughtry could be your next FBI deputy director. That would be a real win for the Trump administration, who's had a marvelous year so far, first year in office. Before anything else, I want to say here, I see this. It comes up as Jesus 111-H3D, $299.99 to the Sal Greco Show. Thank you. That is a generous Christmas gift. To the Finest and Filtered Network. It says, "Merry Christmas and God bless everyone. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." Isaiah 9:6. And that's a good message. And thank you very much for your generosity and your gift to all of us. As you know, we're here trying to put out all the information out to you of what's going on. So thank you very much. Next thing I wanted to put up on the screen was the sheriff of New York City, the infamous Anthony Miranda, who has been an incompetent boob out there. This was a post I put up. There was an article there. So New York City's weed crackdown on the New York City Sheriff Miranda is a mess. Rushed raids, padlocked shops, seized cash, and shaky legal ground. Lawsuits are piling up. Corruption claims are being investigated, and enforcement looks more chaotic than competent. There's $1 million also missing, by the way. But in this Business Insider article, I was going to highlight a particular section that it just sticks out. A deputy from Miranda's Public Relations Bureau, Lieutenant Francesca Rosa, which we highlighted, in a year and a half on probation, went up 2 ranks. I don't know how. Claimed under oath in a state lawsuit against the sheriff's office last year that we are not required to test the product. She said that during the raids, the teams decided if a product was illegal based on a review of its packaging and label. She also testified that she could smell which products contain THC, a feat that is not humanly possible. You need to read this article. It's unbelievable what's going on. Look at this. This is what she's making. She went from 2004. Look, she made $167,000 just walking in, and now she's making $207,000. 2 ranks in 1 year under probation. How the hell does that even? How does it even work? You know, she's a supervising deputy sheriff. Man, that guy should not be the sheriff. I hope that someone in the Mamdani camp listens and actually tries to do the right thing, because he's not making good decisions himself right now with who he's appointing. Next up, the mistrial of Linda's son. As you know, Linda's son was a aide to first Governor Cuomo, then Kathy Hochul, then she worked for the city. She's a Chinese spy, okay? So there was a mistrial. And it says here, the prosecutors claimed, including by blocking Taiwanese officials from meeting the governor and by removing references to Uyghurs, a primarily Muslim ethnic minority that has faced persecution from the Chinese Communist Party, from official speeches. So this case had a mistrial. The prosecutors want to bring it again in February. It's just odd that the DOJ says all these cases that are, they're political, and all of a sudden they are disinterested in this. Meanwhile, a lot of money was spent. A lot of investigations were done. Federal agents put all this time and effort, and then poof. I've seen this. We've seen this before, because until we see Eric Adams and his cronies like Jeffrey Madry, Kaz Dodry, Eddie Caban, remember all those raids? Where the prosecutions? What happened there? You went into people's homes, took their phones, took this, took that. From what I understand, it's not a priority in the Trump administration or the Trump DOJ. They think everything is a political persecution. So if you keep using this as an excuse, jurors are going to believe that. And that's what happened here. 10 jurors find Linda's son guilty. 2 of them are using the Trump excuse. I don't know. It might be political. You got to be kidding me. So, if that's the new thing, you get charged. Oh, it's political. It's political. I can only tell you there's things out there that are political. Obviously, Trump's case was political. A lot of this stuff, though, that you're seeing, Roger Stone's case was political. General Flynn's case was political. Linda's son's not political. She was stealing in the Foreign Registration Act, and they used all of that. I don't know what they're doing, but really, that's disgraceful that there's a mistrial, and then we don't know what they're going to do. Hopefully, the case gets brought back in Brooklyn, the Eastern District in Brooklyn. We'll see. Prosecutors said that. Next, the Finest Ideas Program. This is another NYPD soccer mom special. So they're trying to implement what's called the Finest Ideas Program. And years ago, when I was in the NYPD, they did the same thing. They try to bring something like this. This is in an attempt to spruce up morale. The NYPD wants to hear from the rank and file via the new Finest Ideas Program. Hopefully, this is not another gimmick to make cops get their hope up. This concept has been attempted in the past, ultimately failing or falling short implementing results. You got to see this. You go in there. It's like you Dropbox. It's like a little Dropbox. It tells you, all these little things that you could, give your ideas on. They tried this many years ago. There's also, I believe, in the 90s, they tried this. See right here? That's a submission page. And basically, they could also check up on you. If you're a police officer or whatever rank you are, and they're going to know what's going on. I thought the soccer mom knew everything. Doesn't she hire the best and most qualified people and appoint them? I mean, you got to see the list of promotions last week. Why take any ideas from the rank and file? You have it all covered, soccer mom. And all they have to really do, like Samara Cohen says, here's an idea: treat your workers better. How about that? That would, if it makes sense, it doesn't make sense to the New York City Police Department. That has not changed. Next up, remember those 31 cops that were being destroyed by the NYPD, saying they were psych holds and the unlicensed psychologists were reviewing their records and all kinds of nonsense? Well, look at this. Right here, there's a stipulation they'd agreed to, right? And it looks like the soccer mom and the union have come to an agreement. So this lawsuit that they filed is now moot. And you can see that it's being discontinued and dismissed with prejudice. And what I understand is, again, we revealed on the Sal Greco Show with Grace Price, who had covered this entire incident and this an issue, is that the proposed idea is that 31 cops will now be put on a long probation. Meanwhile, the whole thing was done as a hit piece to destroy Inspector Terrell Anderson, who I understand now is going to become deputy chief. He's getting promoted. I guess he's taking his punishment, whatever. He shouldn't, because he's not guilty of anything. But the soccer mom wanted to punish him, therefore came up with this whole scheme, now blaming Corporation Counsel, and then makes this agreement with 31 cops, and saying that, they should just sign this, and the unions are now, they go back to they go back into hiding. Meanwhile, what they're signing, they really should look at, because long probation, I never even heard of that. What's long probation after you've already been on probation? To be continued. Last but not least, this lieutenant that was assaulted by a vicious rioter who turned into a complete savage, okay? They finally had this trial 5 years after the date. And lo and behold, what happens? Alvin Bragg, who's the prosecutor, actually is on the side of the NYPD. And on this case, it's Alvin Bragg who wants this individual to get over 300 days, a full year in jail for what he did, because this lieutenant is no longer on the force because of his injury. Yet, you know what the judge gave this guy? 50 hours community service. You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. This is why you have these issues in New York City. People complain about Alvin Bragg. People complain about the NYPD. People complain about the city council. And then there's the judge. 50 hours community service. That'll do it. You ruined this lieutenant's career. Yet over 20 years on the job, gets assaulted by this guy, and then, only 50 hours community service. And it also took years to bring this forward because the courts are backed up, yada, yada, yada. I don't know what to say. I guess it pays to be a criminal in New York City, right? That's basically the MO. And that is disgraceful and disgusting. And, I don't know what to say. It just shows you, if you're rank and file, if you're out there right now and you're working, just know if something like that happens to you, you're a victim of a crime. If you're the victim of a crime, you're a police officer, it really doesn't matter. That's how the judge sees it. That's how the courts see it. Even if the prosecutors are on your side, look, you're saying at the end result, it's the same thing. So with that being said now, if you are shopping, especially for the holidays, you need to go to myfreedomcart.com/Sal Greco Show. You should shop with people that support patriotic businesses. Of course, you could go to your local grocery store, your local supermarket chain. You got kids, you got your wife, you got your husband. You're walking through the aisles, the kids, you got to chase them around. It's a 40-minute ordeal. You're lugging things in and out of the car. You can just shop online. Everything comes to you. And they're all organic products made in America. And these are the people that support law enforcement. These are the people that give money to the cause and actually help out precincts and firehouses around the country. I mean, I think that's what people should be shopping. At least think about it, because I think that would be a better way than just going to your supermarket and just taking Clorox and whatever. And these companies, they just keep making they keep churning out the millions. So if you can, myfreedomcard.com/Sal Greco Show. And then, of course, all this news that's been going on, Epstein files, all this stuff, get it on FreeSpoke, because that's how I learned about it. So check them out. I know you surf the internet and you search for things on the search engine and you don't get what you're looking for. Well, I have a solution for you, and that's FreeSpoke. FreeSpoke is a search engine that does everything without all the restrictions and all the censorship, and there's no porn ads. FreeSpoke is about authenticity rather than agendas. Labels media bias, no intrusions or data leaks. No porn ads, like I said, unlimited, unbiased AI. Also, deep dive podcasting. You can look it up. Go to freespoke.app.link/Greco. Download the app. You could also use the same link to get 35% off the premium subscription, which would be well worth it. Try it out. freespoke.app.link/Greco. There you have it, folks. Greco 35. Get your 35% off the subscription. And like I said, FreeSpoke, you could also use it like ChatGPT. So, and when you look at the news, you can look at it from the right wing part, the left wing part, or non-biased, because all these search engines are usually biased. I see Jason gave $1.99 to the Sal Greco Show. That is a cafecito, by the way. And he says, unlike Jesus, I'm broke. Merry Christmas. Listen, it's not about the money. It's about the effort. People give what they can, even if it is a couple of, 50 cents. Really, it's just about everyone supporting each other. Thank you very much, Jason. You're always in the chat also. And, we really appreciate it, to find some filter. And also, Frankie Paliguacci, $9.99 to the Sal Greco Show. He says, Merry Christmas, Sal, and support this podcast. And also, we support you, Frank, because remember, we haven't forgotten about your case and the madness that went on with that, and it's still ongoing. But without any further ado, let's bring on my guest. Okay, he's a retired NYPD police officer. Well, he's a former, and we're going to discuss this case, and that's Josue Torres and his attorney, Eric Sanders, who's also my attorney. So welcome, Josh, and welcome back, Eric, to the Sal Greco Show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having us.
All right, Josh. So I think maybe we'll give a little background. So, you were in the New York City Police Department. So before we get to your case, I don't know, you want to tell people, how long you served in the New York City Police Department, how you got there, and, what did you do when you were in the New York City Police Department?
Well, I had almost say about 9 years in total in law enforcement. I did 2 years in corrections prior to joining NYPD, and I did about a little over 7 years on the job. I primarily worked in the 34th precinct. That's where I came out of the academy. I was in Manhattan Courts for a while, Queens Courts, PSA 4, and yeah, I loved my time on the job. It was a dream of mine to become a police officer. My mom was on the job. She retired over 20 years. So yeah, I mean, I loved working. I loved patrol. I primarily did patrol. I loved the job. I loved it.
And during your time, Josh, you weren't disciplined for anything, right? You weren't a problem child. You didn't get all these complaints like some people do, whether they merit it or not. Your record's clean, right?
Well, outside of one CCRB, and I was modified. No, I was not.
Okay. So lead us into this. We'll call it incident. How did your problems begin with the NYPD suddenly doing an about face on you?
Well, I was modified due to an incident, a personal incident with an ex of mine. I was modified, and I was gone from the department in June of 2023.
Mhm.
And approximately almost about a year and a half later, I find out I was going to be indicted for 2 instances that transpired during my time at Man Central Booking.
That is that is incredible. So you got indicted for something well after your time in the NYPD, even though they could have done that right away. They waited all this time to wait till after your whole department trial to bring some other stuff that had nothing to do with what happened originally in the NYPD.
Yes.
That's unbelievable. So getting back to this, who did you have in the department trial as your commissioner? As the trial commissioner, not a judge. He's a trial commissioner.
Paul Gamble.
Paul Gamble, huh? Paul Gamble. I know Paul Gamble well. He was in my department trial too, known as the hatchet man in the NYPD. He was the deputy commissioner recently, but he was an assistant commissioner, then deputy commissioner. Now he's back to assistant commissioner, and it was never explained exactly why. So I don't know if you could get into the details of what had happened with the NYPD or the trial and how that all went about, and then how were you being treated during this time? You know, because that's a whole
Yeah.
thing. Is the cops?
Pretty much everything that I could have used as evidence to discredit. And I have to tread lightly because for personal reasons. Everything that I had that could have used to discredit the other person involved in this matter, it wasn't allowed. It wasn't allowed. Pretty much, I was accused of things that I didn't do, and he pretty much he didn't let anything into record. My lawyer at the time, Roger Blank, did put everything in a fogel, so everything that transpired that I could have used to discredit, because it comes to the credibility of the person who accused me of such heinous acts, which again I'm innocent of everything. And I have the proof that I didn't do those things. But like I said, he didn't allow anything in. It was allowed on the Fogel. And ironically, I do have proof that the advocate's office at the time, when my attorney put in my Fogel and put in everything that we weren't allowed to put in on record, the attorney for the department, Christina McGrath, wanted to rebuttal. And my attorney had explicitly said, this is all in email, and I have the emails to prove it, that this would have violated my right to due process. So the point I'm making is that if the Department Advocate's Office were willing to violate my right to due process, then they're pretty much willing to do anything to ensure that I was no longer on the job. And like I said, October of last year, I was indicted for 2 instances that allegedly occurred when I was modified in Manhattan Central Booking. And
no, it's okay to say it didn't occur. You were found not guilty. So
yes, it did not occur.
Okay.
I was found not guilty, and I just want thank God for that. I want to thank my attorneys, David Mejia Colgan and Patrick Brockley, for that. I truly believe that I went the route of the PBA, I would not have gotten the result that I've gotten. I'm just very, very thankful. I'm very, very thankful for the results. And I'm going to get emotional. I apologize. This is the best Christmas present I could ever ask for.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, it's not easy to win, especially you're a former cop being charged for things as a cop, and usually in Alvin Bragg's courtroom that doesn't work out well. But thank God it worked out in your favor. Now, I want to go back to this thing in the trial room only because they charge you with these things. You're not allowed to defend yourself. Were you ever charged criminally for any of that stuff? Ever?
Well, one got dismissed. And the initial alleged incident, I did plead to a disorderly conduct.
Dismissed and sealed, which essentially means it didn't occur.
Yes, it did not occur.
Okay.
Now, was that ever brought up to Mr. Gamble, or did they act like they ignored that?
Yeah, he said that it was supposed to be unsealed during the department trial.
Oh, Eric, you have anything to say about that? I mean, how is this guy? He's supposed to be a judge. I'm trying to show people how this works in the kangaroo.
No, because you have people out here in the world that forget police officers are people. This is just a job. And what's even more disheartening is that you have people in the police department that make all your value judgments. Oh, there's all this other cop talk bullshit. Meanwhile, the department violates people's rights all day long. The statutes mean what they mean. Once you close it, that's it. It's by definition never happened before. Dismiss and seal means what it means. Dismiss and seal. But we already know, based upon the RC case and those related cases, the department was accessing sealed records since the 1970s. Yeah. Until recently, the courts tell them to stop doing it. But that doesn't mean they have been doing it to other members of the service forever. And the unions are no help, and nor are their counsel, because they're not going to litigate anything for you. So if you think you're going to get a fair trial, you're not going to get a fair trial or any assessment. So when people come on here and talk about these experiences, because they're really traumatized by what happened, they won't tell you a lot of different things. But the bottom line is, this woman, she lied on him. In the 3-4, there was cameras to prove that she lied and all kind of things. Yet he was terminated. So you tell me, how does this happen? This is like going in the star chambers.
Not only that, you brought up sealed records. Here we are again, because that happened in my own case. They looked at people's sealed records. So they want to look at your sealed record, Josh. They can't do that. To pull up your...
Wait. Someone just put something up. Criminal charge and never sealed. Go look up 160, 50, and 55. This is what I'm talking about. People don't understand the law, but they make these comments. The records are dismissed and sealed. That's what it is. You have to get a court order in order to, or judicial intervention to even look at a sealed record. So there's a point of correction there.
Yeah, I mean, look, Marlon's in the chat. He says right here, my guess is department wanted to get him and he needed to find some reason to prosecute him, which is essentially what they do. Because, see, you just mentioned two things, and I knew right away because you mentioned Gamble. You have Gamble, and now you're telling me sealed record that he wants to unseal. You can't do that. So your trial already, and like you correctly stated, they violated they've violated your rights, but they'll never admit it because then they did what they did. So, I mean, how long did this drag on? Because obviously you were modified. They kept you modified, and they dragged this on. And ultimately, what's the time period? And then when they said, oh, well, you're terminated. And, was there an offer prior to this? Did the union tell you, take it, kid, take the deal, kid, whatever it is that they want to give?
No, I never got a pre-offer. I never got a post-offer. It was just termination.
So they just want to terminate you no matter what?
Yes, no matter what. Even though I had, like I said, I had all the evidence that I could have to discredit the other party, and it just didn't matter.
You know, I don't want to interject too much because I want him to talk about his experience, but part of the problem is there's so much misunderstanding of law. People are making all these misrepresentations. When a record is dismissed and sealed, it is sealed. The only way you can get it is through a court order. And the problem is a lot of cops don't even understand the law, but they love to making comments about a lot of things, which is exactly why the police department has all these legal problems now, because really that's another form of retaliation. Although he didn't say it, and I'm going to say it for him, part of the problem is while he had a pending lawsuit, then all of a sudden he's facing criminal charges. Our position is that's a form of retaliation because these criminal charges never should have been brought against Torres for using the proper force inside Manhattan Central booking. But this can happen to anyone. So if you think that can't happen to you, you get a reality check one day because he didn't think it can happen to him.
No, I could clearly see something here. It stinks because I know the experience. Just hearing what you just said in the trial room was bad enough. And you obviously, so the union never steps in. They never give you, there's no deal. How was the union during this time, and how were your fellow cops around you? Were they being friendly? Did they support you, or did they just, do what they usually some of them do, to just completely abandon you like you're the leper? Nobody wants to be around you.
I mean, there were some people who had their opinions, and again, it is what it is. Those who know me well, those who were my close friends on the job, know me, and they know that these things didn't occur. They know how much I love the job. They know how much I love my children, and that's all that really mattered to me.
Yeah, I mean, this is like heartbreaking to hear. You have kids and then you got no job, and then shortly after, I mean, so after this, right? Obviously now the union and no one will be found. You know, good luck, kid. How long is it that they turn around and all of a sudden there's a criminal case that you have no idea about? I mean, how does it even start? Did the NYPD investigate you for this thing, or was it just something that popped up out of nowhere from?
No, I forget exactly the time frame, but it was still while I was still on the job. I was brought into the police accountability unit for these two set instances, and I was represented by the PBA. And we reviewed the videos. They tried to get an interview, and the PBA attorney just stormed out, and I followed suit because he said it was complete BS that I did nothing wrong. We reviewed everything and that we did nothing wrong. And I would say I think it was February 2024. I got a phone call from the same PBA attorney who informed me that they were looking to prosecute, which I was just like, how? You know, because I was in the impression that usually for the police accountability unit, their objective is to ensure that cops get terminated. So I was already going for the job, so there's kind of like, all right, there's no point, or so I thought. So eventually, I get indicted in October 2024, and over two alleged assaults, like I said, which I beat, one of which, and it is mind-boggling to me how with one particular incident, I saved, I basically saved a perp's life. You know, I saved the perp's life. He was in a prone position. He was rear cuffed and he had leg shackles on. He was an EDP, and I assisted the officer who was escorting him, and the officer did nothing. And meanwhile, he actually testified against me. Clifford Barker testified against me. And
Very
meanwhile, I saved his job. I believe I saved his job because I helped him. I helped him try our very best to, pick that guy up, even though as per patrol guy procedure, we're not trained in to do that, especially when they have leg shackles on. There's nothing in the patrol guide that you know states on how to pick up someone who's in a prone position, who's rear cuffed, and who's leg shackled. He could have died. The perp could have died. He was on his stomach. He could have died, and I saved that man's life, and I saved that officer's job. And he lied on the stand against me. Try to blame me for his misgiving. Try to blame me because he didn't do anything.
For those who don't know, there is a department order that talks about having a person in a prone position. Matter of fact, if you go on my website, I even put the document on there that's been filed with the Department of Justice that suggests way back in the 90s, the police department trains its officers not to put people in a prone position. But then the Joe cops don't know anything about their training because they don't follow shit. The problem is they don't know. So this whole thing that he did to raise him up actually was not committing a crime. But they're so emotional because they always want to think cops are bad people that they prosecute him for what reason? And how long did it take the jury to acquit you? How long?
It was a couple of hours. About a few hours.
That's my point. And
yeah.
how much you think it cost the taxpayers to prosecute him for a thing that wasn't even a crime?
Oh,
That's the thing no one talks about.
What a waste!
How much money cost him?
Well, I'd like to know who thought this one up. Obviously, someone in the NYPD or someone in the DA's office thought this up and thought this was going to be a great idea to try to mount Josh's head on the wall for them, saying, "Look what we got," and you had nothing to begin with. You had nothing to begin with. And just so you know, following a patrol guide and all this nonsense. Who was the police commissioner when you were terminated, Josh?
At the time, it was. Oh no, I'm sorry. It was. It was still Sewell, I believe.
Was it Keyshawn? Was it in 2022? Or was it in
No,
2023?
2023,
Okay.
June 2023. So it was kind of like, I guess, right before Come On.
So it was in the in-between phase of Sewell leaving and then Eddie Caban, and again, Keyshawn Sewell, we've already exposed this on here. For someone, they always say that she's a fantastic police commissioner. She was hanging out with a known mob associate and self-admitted criminal. And no, I mean, nobody, like, they want to act like she doesn't know Jimmy Rodriguez, but she does. And she made a lot of decisions. You know what other decisions she made, Josh? She had the way she could have. Kaz Dordry perjured himself, not once on the job, but twice, which is why he's on the Brady list. And she, not even her, Chief Pinto at the time, signed off that he only gets 20 vacation days taken and then climbs up 8 ranks after that incident of him perjuring himself at his one of his interviews. I mean, how do you feel hearing this and then seeing she's the one that passes judgment on you, but who is passing judgment on her? She has no right to be police commissioner doing what she did.
I mean, I'm just beyond disgusted with how the job has become. It just I didn't get a fair trial at all. My story wasn't brought to light at all. I don't think I deserve to have been terminated. I don't deserve it at all, and I didn't deserve to get indicted. I just I want to live my life in peace. I want to be rid of the department. I'm really sad, honestly. I'm really sad what the department has become. Like I didn't get into this to be some sort of political pariah for anything. I did this to help people. I did this because I wanted to, do right. And like I said, with the second incident that I was found out guilty of, I tried to help my fellow officer, and the fellow officer threw him under the bus for no reason. And it's just stuff like that that just really, really is really upsetting. It's really upsetting to me what this department's become.
I'm disgusted. I'm hearing this. One guy saying something that didn't happen, and I guess now nothing's going to happen to that officer, even though clearly something's wrong, because what he said on the stand, the jurors didn't believe. I think there's a term for that, So I guess nothing's going to happen there. The NYPD always covers for these kind of people, but I still don't think. I think your actual department trial, there's a lot of questions there, how that all went down and why they seek. Listen, I very recently pull up someone. I might show this later on. Someone that should have been terminated for domestic incident. Okay, and this officer, now the supervisor, actually is very close friends with Kaz Dordry, and he's actually good. The commanding officer of his at the time was this guy Vasquez, who's now the head of Brooklyn North, and we all know who he's attached to. This guy has so many charges, and they basically took 30 vacation days, a bunch of nonsense. Clearly, he broke in. He broke into his ex's home or something, and instead of being a burglary, they made a criminal trespass, which is a little bit of a soccer mom thing that she does with crimes. And he only lost like 30 or 60 days, but he kept his job. Whereas you didn't do anything like that, but they want you terminated. But that guy, because he's close to the king with Kaz Dordry and them, he's now a supervisor today. I mean, how do you know? So your comparators are going to be a case like this guy. Yet you're terminated, and that guy's still on the job with about 100 complaints too, by the way. He's really, like, his records are, like, I don't know. I mean, he's an active guy, but telling me you broke into someone's home is already enough to say, whoa, as a cop, like, I don't know. I mean, how do you feel knowing that? You got comparators of people that did far worse in the same, stratosphere as what they're saying you did, yet they're keeping their jobs, getting promoted, and you're sitting here getting indicted. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, but I have all the confidence in the world that, that Mr. Sanders and I will, I'll be vindicated one way or the other. Me, being found not guilty is just the is the fir- it's just the first in many vindications that I hope to have in the future.
But Josh, how much? What does this cost you? Obviously, as you had to fight, this has had to take a lot of toll on you and your family.
Yeah, financial, emotional. Not just for myself. My mom, my parents, my extended family. Um, my grandparents. I lost my grandfather last year. It's a cancer, and it took a toll on him as well. This whole thing was not easy at all. So again, I'm very thankful for the verdict being such that I was found not guilty, and I believe that I was vindicated. This is just the first step of other vindications to come.
I really hope so, because this sounds so contrived with the way the police department. Eric, you want to add in on anything here, or you give your take? This. I mean, me and you talk about this. You've been on the show plenty of times. You got comparators. I'm gonna try. I know I got this case of a guy in the same neighborhood, but they said broke into someone's home. They gave him a criminal trespass. He's a sergeant today, just so you know. And it's like this big on 58. What he got charged with, he should have been terminated. Well, so why is he terminated?
This is what we talk about all the time. This was the panel that under O'Neill they took a look at and said, hey, this stuff you do in the trial room, there's no rhyme or reason to it. I mean, without going through the whole report, basically that's what the report says. It was two former prosecutors, federal, and one judge. And this still goes on to this day. The trial room is a joke. It's a joke. They're not serious about that. They just make up things that go along. In cases I understand the rules. No, you don't understand no fucking rules. The problem is, they don't know the rules. They just apply whatever the hell they want to apply. You can give them case law. You can give them this. They don't look at anything. I mean, every once in a while they'll do the right thing, what they're supposed to, but that's for political favors. But for the average person, no, the law doesn't apply. You're reading it wrong. The lawyers don't know how to read either. I mean, it's a farce. And you know what the bottom line is? It needs to be replaced. And then you replace it with what? You have people walk around talking about their senior counsel that review the stuff, including the one that works for Tish, the police commissioner. I should say police commissioner Tish. I don't want her to get all offended. Well, a fucking senior counsel don't even have a law license, but he calls himself senior counsel. This is a fucking farce. It's a farce. And the people who are lucky enough not to get caught in the meat grinder, the Joe cops and the other people with the bullshit, they don't understand. This could be you. He came out this way. I came out this way. Sal came out this way. We all thought bright eye and bushy tail, you'd never be in these systems. And then lo and behold, you're in the bullshit game. So this is what goes on all the time. More than you think. 40, 50, 60 days, no rhyme or reason. People giving up their rights. First of all, the 31 people, you're a fraud. You never should have joined the police department. You game the system. But I'll let you stay if you don't sue us. What kind of fucking bullshit is that? That's what goes on all the time. And the same thing with Torres. He said this is his first victory. No, he's had about 4 or 5 victories now. In family court, criminal court. This guy's been out of so many courts. I've never seen it before. And so far, nothing's touched him. Except for that trial room.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna. I sent this. If Jackie you get this up, I'm gonna show you this comparator right here. This is the individual right here. He's a sergeant right now. All right, and he had this incident. I mean, look at the substantiated allegations against him. But it's when you keep rolling down. I mean, is a laundry list. It's what the charges were for him that he pled guilty to. That's the discipline case, right? This is the case I'm talking about. All right. How this guy is still working, I don't know. You don't have anything like this, Josh, do you?
No, absolutely not.
And they got problems. Keep scrolling down. You'll see it. It's gonna come up. I mean, they got problem. They came after Eric. Boy.
That is bananas. 36 substantiated allegations. Holy shit. That is crazy, man. He should have been fired a long time ago. Oh, well, my God.
He's still there, but that's that is nothing compared to what you're going to see, or what he on the bottom for the discipline right there. I could see it. He pled guilty to criminal trespass, criminal mischief, involving a physical altercation, endangered the welfare of a child, failure to remain at the scene of an off-duty incident, failed to make proper notifications, patrol supervisor, misused Department of Electronics, smartphone. The penalty, counseling, dismissal, probation, 12 months, pre-trial suspension days, 31, vacation days, 34 days. Josh.
No, he should have been terminated. That was a burglary in the second degree. What's that guy's tax number? Oh, that's a perfect comparator.
That is a comparator.
What's his tax number?
It says here, tax number 952946.
Noted. Perfect comparator. He should have been charged with burglary in the second degree. That's a C felony, by the way.
But
Josh, how's it criminal trespass?
Josh, he keeps his job, but you don't, Josh. Where's the union, Josh? Where would they had no problem with this?
Don't even start with the union. Union's a joke. I'm gonna lost the words. I just, again, like I said, just beyond disgusted with the department. I'm just beyond disgusted. You know, I had aspirations, you know, with the department, but like I just can't even. I can't. Just even seeing that, even know about that one, I'm just beyond disgusted.
You know, Josh, I know a lot about a lot of things, like someone else tells me, but I don't usually just air things out. But in your case, I don't think it's right that you're getting railroaded and indicted, and someone that should have been indicted and gone a long time ago gets to keep their seat at the table because of who they know, which happens to be a certain now former deputy mayor. And, you know, now they want to go to the federal government and all that nonsense. So they get to keep their seat at the table, and you don't. And you're an honest working guy. So that right there is your comparator. I don't know how that person keeps their job, but you, who were never charged with anything, by the way, with this stuff, and then trying to look up sealed records on top of it, you get hung out to dry and indicted for some nonsense later on.
Remember, Sal, remember the other guy, Guyanese that dragged his wife out of the car? The one that Caban saved? Him too. And that's not the first time. There was only 2 documented. There was more incidents than that. There were just only 2 documented.
Wow.
And they recommended termination. He got saved.
I don't. Yeah, this is what I'm trying to show people, that if discipline's not fair, it's corrupt. There is no the discipline here is. Then there's the matrix. They don't follow the matrix, because if they veer away from it, as you know, the police commissioner is supposed to write why. That never happens. Apparently, they just made up that rule. The whole thing is a joke. And if you're in this system and you get railroaded, I mean, Josh got railroaded twice. Okay, and this is very taxing on him and his family. And look, he has a life. How's he going to pay bills when they throw you to the wolves? And he's got to hire attorneys, criminal. Then he's got civil attorneys for this other case in a trial room. Yeah, come on, anyone think this is fair? Does anybody out here think And this is why I like having people like Josh on. People don't understand what it's like to work on this job, and you could be a target and it's over. And then you got the Joe Coppers and some people, on the internet will say that may have been drinking too much and limp to the bar stool, that think that things are, you and this and that. They were part of the problem. If you're sitting there right now and you're quiet, you're part of the problem. Like, this is why. And when that whole pendulum swings your way and they're trying to decapitate you, don't look around for any help, because you weren't there for anyone else, And I guess it's all about who you know, right? That's the job, right? Who you know. Who do you know? That's kind of like the connection. That's how this guy kept his job. I don't know. I'm even looking at that when I saw it originally. I wanted to vomit, because I look at you, Josh. You have nothing on your record other than what they were trying to do to you, and they did this whole thing to you, and then people like that are walking around and no problem. I mean, the public should know someone like that is walking around, because that's scary with a right to arrest you.
I completely agree. I completely agree. And it's just, like I said, it's really sad what the department has become. It really, really is.
And
It's a shame.
you saw the top of the hour. I gave you all a bunch of news. I mean, it's ridiculous, some of the things I'm seeing. And it's different parts of the department as well, or different agencies, but it's all the same thing. It all falls under Eric Adams, who's by far the worst mayor in the history of New York City. I know people like to compare Bill de Blasio to him. He's far more corrupt than Bill de Blasio. So as bad as Bill de Blasio was, this guy came in, I'm a cop. But we really wasn't. I'm a cop, and I'm going to change it. And then you're the biggest criminal ever of all time. And God knows, I mean, this guy, is he even in the city? I heard he's doing something today. He's anointing another fire commissioner. Yet the new mayor is about to come in a week. I have no idea what this guy's doing. This is the world of Eric Adams, which unfortunately you fell into by default because you were working the NYPD.
Yeah.
So Josh, I mean, you have anything you want to say, like in regards to this whole experience, right? And what's your message to other cops, or the civilians that watch this don't understand me? I mean, this is a very taxing thing on you and your family, and this whole experience. And how do you feel? Like I said, the union, the cops, where were they for you? You were acquitted. Did anybody call you, say, "Hey, Josh, you did great. Good job. They did the right thing," or was it just like radio silence?
I mean, other than, those who matter, who I still consider close, who are on the job, who've checked up on me, they're the handful of people there who matter to me. And that's really what it boils down to. My message to other cops, if just, there's life outside the department. I do believe that a lot of cops do think that this is all they know, so they can't do anything else. There is life outside of the department, and to not be afraid to venture outside of that if the opportunity presents itself. And if you find yourself in a situation like I was in, God forbid, but just fight, just fight for your reputation. Fight for your name. To me, that's priceless. There's no price on that. And again, like I said, I just want to thank God for everything, my family. I'm just very, very thankful for this victory that was obtained, and I'm thankful for the jurors who saw right through the nonsense. I'm thankful that they found me not guilty, and I'm just thankful.
I'm thankful they saw it this way. So in the future now, do you have anything coming? I mean, I guess, I think you might have a few claims against the New York City Police Department. I don't know if you or Eric want to touch up on that, because I see a definite lawsuit here on how the way this all went down.
Well, I can say for him that, yeah, we're going to be refiling the case, because what I did is there was a case pending, and we started to go through discovery, but then we found out that he was going to go to trial. So, of course, I withdrew the case because it makes sense, because I'm going to let him assert his Fifth Amendment rights. There's no way I'm going to let him give a deposition, because any statement could be used against him, and he could be questioned about anything. Mm-hmm. So we withdrew it, and now we're going to refile it, and we're going to refile it based upon the prior cases and the prior comparators, and then we're going to add our nice little burglary second-degree guy, and then add the retaliation and the rest of the stuff on it. So that should substantially make the case more problematic for the city of New York.
Yeah, and also that the entire upper echelon at this time was hanging out with a known criminal mob associate. And I could tell you from some documents that were just received by John McCarr and Eric Dim, they know about it, but the Department Advocate's Office declined to bring any of these substantiated claims forward of criminal association. So it's we choose who and when and what we're going to do. That's the NYPD. I see Lisa Torres here. Is that your mom?
Yeah.
Yes.
I said, yeah. She said, this is his mom. We went to the PBA after his termination, and we spoke of his unfair trial. They said they were going to get back to us, and they never did. I'm gonna tell you why, Lisa. At the time, Pat Lynch, who was the head of the union, he was too busy hanging out at Con Sofrito with the known criminals that hang out there. So, you know, unless you were in that circle, he was too busy to answer you. Now, I mean, Pat Hendry is like slightly better than him, but not so much, especially how he handled this 31 Capo deal with the unlicensed psychologist. I guess me and you, Eric, will talk about that a little bit. So, I mean, Josh, is there anything else you want to add? Because I know it's very taxing. It's your first time speaking out on this. And, you know, I think you're pretty brave even coming on and explaining this. And I think the people have the right to know what's going on, especially that a lot of people have a misconception of how discipline and how it's like to be targeted. And this is a real witch hunt, not the witch hunts you keep hearing all these people saying it's political, and it's not. Here you go. This is a political case, but they made it political. There was no reason to. Josh is not some like mega named superstar that's got all these things going on. He's a regular guy who did his job, and the job decided to say, we're going to target him. Why? I don't know. I don't know who targeted you, but what do you have to say about that?
I'm thankful for the end result of the verdict of not guilty. Like I said, it's been very, very taxing, to say the least. I just wanted to, to thank everyone who, I did a lot of praying for sure. Thank you for everyone who's, prayed for me. And for those who stuck by me, I really appreciate the support. And, for anyone who's on a job still, just remember there's life after the job for sure. And, protect your pension, always protect yourselves. And that's really it, I don't know what to say, to be honest. I'm sorry.
Well, you have is there like a fund anywhere people can help you or anything like that, or you didn't do anything like that?
No, I haven't really thought about that, to be honest.
I think you should, because I could tell you, and I'm still going through it. It's not easy to try to get your life back to, especially you, because they actually threw the dagger. They put you through a criminal case. That's the killer, because that's the extra money where you get, and then people perceive you to be a criminal because that's what they do. It's not like people. It depends who you are, but in your case, because the NYPD already terminated you, the label is you're a criminal. They're bringing case because they're going to try to equate the two. That's kind of how the media does things. So you're being perceived as a criminal. Therefore, your job opportunities, anything that happens, that always follows you. That's what I'm trying to say. Like I always thought there should be a fund with people like cops that they get railroaded, that people should help them out, because it's like you can never get you. And I mean, you didn't do anything wrong. So it's like, what are you supposed to do now? Because you're going to try to apply for jobs. They're going to look you up. They're not going to see you. They're going to run your article. And you're not going to get that job. That's how it works.
Because what the unfortunate part about is the media, and this is why I have a lack of respect for the legacy media, which is why you see I'll come on here before I go in and have a conversation with anyone else. The reason why, because they'll report the headlines, I say the hit pieces, right? But they wrote about him being arrested. Did anybody write about him being acquitted? Other than the Gothamists, no one else wrote about it. Mm-hmm. And the thing about it is the union had a vested interest to listen to this. You know why? Because he's being charged about on-duty conduct. So they should have wanted to support him. And I mean all the unions, not just the cops, all the unions, because that use of force issue can affect all the ranks, all the way up to chief of department. Yet there's no support. And that's what makes this so disheartening, because people have this whole idea, it'll never happen to me. All the people it's ever happened to didn't think it would happen to them either. All it takes is the right circumstances, and you're under the firing squad. You're being subjected to this. You're being dragged through the media. You're being dragged by other people. People are laughing at you. They're joking at you. Trouble. Oh, it's your fault. No, I'm a victim of bullshit witch hunt.
That's what happened. That's definitely happening, Josh. I can tell you, I was this close. I got Congress, the NYPD, and the FBI. They also subpoenaed me too. I was this close, and then they're like, "This guy didn't do anything." But before you know it, what do you have? You still have knuckleheads that say things about me that aren't true. And you're never gonna. It's never gonna go away because forever and a day they type your name in and that's what pops up. I mean, 50A itself has an article up, the very first one that Graham Raymond ever wrote before he even knew who I was. That's the only article you read. You don't read anything else after that. So, like, that's what I'm trying to tell you. You've been, like, labeled, and it's going to be very hard for you to, you know, moving forward, unless they look past this stuff. Because even though you're acquitted, even though we know you didn't do anything, that article remains. There's no follow-up. You have only the Gothamist, which is already – that's a publication they like to push aside. Yeah. So it's like, what do we do in the future for you? Because that's what I'm saying. There should be funds, okay, and things like help out cops that lose their job over nonsense, that have to then file lawsuits to get their good name and everything back. And then people, you know, they do the Torondello or everything. Who cares? You know, that's what I see. You know, I see a mom again said, I spoke with Stuart London about Josh's indictment, and he told me because he left the barn twice, good luck to my son. Very interesting. You know, Stuart London was my attorney. I could say a lot that I haven't. And that is an interesting comment that he made, because there was a whole another ordeal that I've said it, I think, once or twice a long time ago, but the NYPD was trying to put me into something that I didn't even do. That later on, that little COVID vaccination card nonsense, did anybody get charged for that?
Oh, remember the female I made her address her name. She's a black female working in 7-0. She got charged with the COVID, and Caban gave her slides.
Correct.
And she admitted to it.
Correct. And
there's another comparator.
She did that, and for some bizarre reason, other than, I don't know, Mr. Ornstein was walking around when they brought me in trying to say I'm part of some ring of people that were either selling or I don't even know who these people are. At the time, I'm being investigated still for this whole other nonsense, and they were trying to throw me into that, just so people understand. And there was some nice comments came from Stuart London at that time, because, you know, you were going to get terminated either way, just so people understand.
I laugh about this because it's just so ridiculous, but it isn't funny what Sal was accused of. You know, he doesn't talk about it a lot, but I want to bring this up because it matters. The first allegation was him was that he and another police officer who is in this lawsuit, so eventually I'm going to mention it again, were going to engage in this civil unrest and overthrow the government. I said, well, God damn, if he can overthrow government, that is one vicious dude, man. The whole freaking government, these people are crazy. And they actually follow up on it. What they don't tell you, which I wrote in the lawsuit, but they wrote all these articles that don't say this, they checked everything related to Sal, compromising the police database. And you know what they found? Zilch, nada, clear. And yet he's terminated. So for anyone to think it's funny that Sal got terminated based upon no fucking information other than a picture, you should be ashamed of yourself, because that's the same system that'll chew your ass up. You're just lucky enough to avoid it.
I try to be nice with people, but they don't even know there's a follow-up with this whole vaccine card thing, and that they're trying to say I was involved in a ring of people, and then people that were getting charged in the NYPD got off by Caban and all these other guys. And then there were people like John McCarry that actually had to vest out because they were looking to terminate. And Marlon Bethel, who was terminated, essentially, and here I am. What are you talking about? I'm involved in something and I'm not. And mind you, I was never modified or suspended in my entire career. So all these people, and I saw Jeremy Ornstein walking around in the back room when I was there for this nonsense. And like I said, with Stuart, it was, he said a lot of times, you're either going to get fired for one thing or the other. So there's the PBA, what they had to say. It was my understanding there were 3 names given that had to be terminated. First one was Sergeant Barry. As you know, Sergeant Barry he was trained to do what he did, unfortunately, when he killed the EDP. But that's how they train you at the range. He had to be fired. Mr. Mullins from the SBA, he had to be fired, and myself. That was the three names given to me. Because as you know, there's a lot of things that I know about a lot of things, but I don't always say it. But
yeah, but Mullins is different. The bottom line is Mullins is accused of stealing union money. That was a whole nother thing, right? Barry was acquitted, but he was accused of violating department policy. It's two different animals.
But those are the three names that I was told at the time. So as you could tell, all as is now, it's all coming around full circle. And I think, Josh, you're going to be not only vindicated. I can't wait to see how they handle your case in the future. Because as you know, the soccer mom has her own problems, how she running the police department, because she's no better. In fact, I believe she's far worse than the clowns that were there before her. Tom Donlin doesn't count for me because they were undermining him the minute he walked in. He was police commissioner in name only. Then you had Eddie Caban and Sewell. So these people, and then before her, Dermot Shea and James O'Neill, it's always the same thing. It's always the same thing. You keep it in a little circle. So any last words before I let you go, Josh? I know you're a busy guy. You got a lot going on your plate.
Just, thank you for having me. I think a lot of positivity can come from this, especially with the second incident when I helped the officer. I guess be prepared for a patrol guide procedure to be updated as far as how to handle perps in a prone position, rear cuffed, and leg shackled. Because there was nothing before. I guess now, because of my situation, there will be now. But like I said, thank you for having me. I thank everyone who has supported me on a personal level, and thank you, Mr. Science, as well, for representing me. Just thank you.
Thank you, Josh. And God bless you, and have a Merry Christmas to you.
Likewise, you be safe.
You too. Well, I guess, Eric, I'd say this. Do you think does he stand a good shot at getting his job back?
I don't know, because, the thing about it would be unethical for lawyers to ever make predictions, because you don't know, because it all boils down to the judge. It depends on the lawyer on the other side, depends on who the administration it is. So many variables the lawyer doesn't control. But I think he can show that there were people that were treated differently than he was. That I think he can do.
Yeah, you got one guy in particular that guy sticks out a country mile. So does Mrs. COVID vaccine card. Whatever happened there. But yeah. So now I was going to ask you. You saw the thing with the 31 cops with this whole psychological. So you saw that little stipulation they had yesterday, the soccer mom, and I had Grace Price on, and we were talking, and what did she say? They were offering them long probation, whatever the hell that means. The union was silent. All of a sudden now their lawsuit's gone. So what is your take on all of that? Because there's a lot of moving parts.
You mean the article? You mean the Article 78 petition is resolved? Mm-hmm. That doesn't stop their legal claims. Matter of fact, that little thing that they signed, it's not worth the paper it's written on. But hey, I'm not their lawyer. They have 100 some odd lawyers up in the legal bureau. There had to be at least one to tell them, you do realize that this so-called waiver, there's no consideration. In other words, there was nothing of value exchanged. What did you say you terminated these people? You're going to terminate them because they got they were put into the police department through fraud, right? Through Anderson. And he says he saw something, and he decided that the psychologist's performance or evaluation wasn't valid. And I said, well, that sounds nice. The problem is he's not a psychologist either. So I don't know how he makes that assessment. But the whole system is broken. So the police commissioner comes along because she really wanted to do a hit piece against Anderson to get to Epps. That's what the real deal is. They won't talk about in the public, but that's what really was going on, to do the hit piece on her. So they knock out these 31 people and say, oh, by the way, they got through fraudulent means. Okay, so terminate them. Oh, no, we can't do that. So I guess the law department told them, no, this is going to be a problem. So know what she decided to do? We'll just give them 18 months probation. So the union, who knows what they told them, because I spoke to just about all of them, and I gave them like some general advice. And I said, I don't know if that thing is going to be valid. You should sue them because they modified you and changed your duty status, and you restricted you, put you in broom closets and all kind of bullshit, all because of her political agenda. So they still got a lawsuit. So surprise city. So if those 31 people will come to me, I will now sue you right now because the thing they signed is legally void. No considerations, law school 101, no contract.
There you go. I wanted that on record because a lot of people have been asking about that in the last couple of days, especially since we unveiled that whole probation, long probation nonsense. The whole thing is known as a hit piece.
But remember, Sal, they forgot the most important part, the underlying thing. They are in violation of uniform guidelines, baby. It doesn't matter what they do. They can't fix that legal problem. You know what I'm saying, Jessica S. Tish? And I know you listen to me and some people listen. I don't care if you get upset. I'm a lawyer representing people. I really don't give a shit. The point is, you still violate people's rights. I don't care which way you twist it and spin it. They still have cases against the city of New York. All they got to do is assert it.
I really hope I see these guys come out, and because this would be the ultimate case that breaks the system is this one because of the way and also it was you saw Joel Ramirez put out on Lieutenant Ramirez. You go on his ex about Terrell Anderson. All of a sudden taking some kind of deal and getting promoted. Remember, like you said, he was the linchpin. The whole thing was designed to go after him. That's what the soccer mom was doing. It wasn't about the 31 cops. They just came up with this idea. She did, apparently. And then what does she do? She blames Corporation Counsel.
You know what's funny about this? All this still is the employer's problem. All this shit is still illegal. It doesn't matter which way they spin it in the public and all their feelings and all. So bullshit. Challenge it. And matter of fact, I don't represent Anderson. He took a deal. Why? I have no idea. But I can almost guarantee you that settlement is legally void too. Because their lawyers don't have clues of what they're doing. They're so used to being in a little incubated trial room. We making all these decisions, all these people sign. They don't even know how the employment law applies to all the bullshit they do. Listen, I'm not here to educate them people. See, I like how she said that clean hands doctrine. That's exactly what it is. Perfect. That's what it is. They don't have clean hands. And if more people would challenge these people, you could put a lot of pain in the department. And that's what they're upset about, by the way, because I have my little birdies everywhere. They're so upset because, oh, my God, Eric Sanders is doing why he can't. Well, fuck that. I'm a lawyer. I'm supposed to do this job. If you would clean shit up, then you wouldn't have a problem.
No.
I'm doing a job. That's all I'm doing. I don't call you soccer mom. I just call you the savior. But it's the same thing. Job
to call it a soccer mom.
There's more stuff coming to you, Jessica Tish, too, in your name. I have some personal retaliation when coming straight to you. And listen, it's not me. It's your things that you're doing in the police department is dirty. What can I tell you? You have to answer for this shit one day. So you can't keep screwing people and don't answer for it. That's the way life works. You're eventually going to have to answer for the bullshit you do to people. Because you know what? They may not have your power, but you know what they do have? Some guts. And when you cross the wrong one, they're going to be the biggest pains in the ass that ever happened to you. That's what happened to Sal Greco.
Unfortunately,
the biggest pains in the balls you have. You can't do nothing. What can you do to him? He's First Amendment right to talk about this stuff all day long. Especially the things he's going to talk about is coming up. It's beautiful. We love it.
Oh,
We're going to talk about overtime. We're going to talk about money and the hypocrite Tish. Directly for her, by the way.
Her promotions, the number fudging, the staff that she's hiring, and people don't know these things as financials. I got it all. That's not good, soccer mom. You're very, and I don't know what you did. You ended up in a certain unscrupulous former, now deceased billionaires' files recently. Your home address, your brother's name. I mean, you got a lot on your plate, and you think you just walk around like, I'm the police commissioner. No one can touch me. Whoa. There's a lot going on there. Lisa Torres says, Eric Sanders, I have all the faith in the world that you will get justice for my son. Thank you and God bless. That came straight from Lisa, who is Josh's mom. And she is a viewer of the show. So thank you for always. I do see her in the comments a lot. So thanks for being a supporter. Another thing, that 1.5 mile run that you're challenging. There's a lot of people. I hear the word DEI get thrown.
DEI. You don't even know what DEI means. You're so damn emotional with your your racial tropes. First of all, if you understood what the rule was, you would already know that that 1.5 mile run has been challenged by Chicago Police Department, Erie. There's a bunch of them, fire departments in New York. And guess what? Each and every time it's been ruled the violation of uniform guidelines, employee selection procedures. I know you don't know about it, but look it up. UGESP. It has to apply to every test, promotion test, psychological, hair test. Any test an employer wants to give you has to meet a scientific objective standard, not your feelings, not history, not I can do it, so they should be able to do it. It has to fit an objective standard. If it doesn't meet that standard and you can't show that it meets an objective standard and there's a business necessity, guess what? By definition, it's illegal. Period. Your feelings, you can say whatever you want to say. And guess what? A person running 3 miles can be useless to you if they don't have arm strength, hand strength, back, legs, because guess what? You're going to be grappling with people if you're doing police work, or if you don't get no CCRBs, that means you're just fucking walking around doing shit. But if you're really doing police work, your ass is going to be grappling with people. That means you got to be able to retain your gun, take guns from people, all the stuff that I did too, because I actually did it. I'm not just talking and stuff. I did it. So 1.5 miles is not going to help you. Everything in New York is bang, bang. A couple of blocks, bang, bang. There's radio cars, people flying all over the place. You're not running no 1.5 miles. And I think I joked about it. Sal said, I think I probably ran close to a mile when I chased a guy with a stolen car. And I ran all through the projects and everything. Yeah, by myself. My partner went after the other person. Through the projects and chased a guy up the stairs and Edgerton houses and caught him and handcuffed him. That's one time. And maybe Holmes and I, when we rookies together, those who don't know, Commissioner Holmes, we rookies together in a one-on-one, and we ran up 13 stories for 13. That was unfounded. Those other than that, everything else is short, 2, 3 blocks, jumping over fences, stuff like that. That's what police work is. Not running no 1.5 miles is bullshit. And if you want to know about this so-called run, first of all, the police department specifically designed the JST. And you can read about this in my blog, so I don't take up too much time. This is what they agreed to. This is what the state standard is. They don't do the Cooper standard any longer. You can read about all the stuff on my website. And they agreed to do what? Drop the run. Not because it helped the DEI people, whatever the hell that means. They dropped it because there was no scientific basis to support it. And the police department paid a lot of money to do the study back in 2002. That's why they dropped it. It wasn't brought back because of Holmes. It wasn't brought back because of any of that. You're so misinformed. It was brought back because of Corey. And this group of people, they were told JST. They all passed. Matter of fact, all 50 people passed everything. They were ready to get their gun shields, but guess what they didn't pass? The self-imposed 1.5 mile run. Where did that come from? And that's why they fired him. So, fire them. You know how much that cost taxpayers? $10 million fucking dollars. 50 people with about $200,000 per training. I know people don't think about it, but it costs money to train these cops. It's not cheap. You're investing a lot of money in them. That's $10 million of taxpayer money just pissed away. No one gives a fuck. No one has to answer for it. But the bottom line is, I got 10 of them, and you know what? We're going to make the police department pay for that because guaranteed they can't meet the standard. They cannot meet it, no matter what they do.
I'm going to say this. From the day I walked in the police academy, and William McGrath says, great show, spot on information. Thank you, William. I said, I'm a runner. I train 6 days a week. I said the 1.5 mile run was BS. I know this from also doing jiu-jitsu, which Eric Dim does. But as you know, each person that does things, you could be grappling with people that are 350 pounds. Either they're heavy where they're, overweight, or they're 350 pounds of solid muscle. Now, the fact that I could run 1.5 miles is not going to stop them. And I'll tell you how I know this. I could run. I used to run 15 miles straight. I could run a half a marathon. But when I go up the stairs, why was I huffing and puffing? I'm not
because it's a different experience. That's right.
If I could run 15 miles, but I can't even go up the stairs a couple of minutes. I'm going up 3 flights already like, whoa, I don't feel like that when I run. Why? Because I'm not used to it. So why does my running cardio for running, what is it going to do for me when I'm grappling a 350-pound either overweight person or muscular person? It doesn't mean anything. I have to know. I have to be strong. I have to be built for endurance. That's something NYPD doesn't even do.
Exactly.
And that's my problem. I always said one was beat.
Right. And you know what the bottom line to that also? It could be even a small person, because remember, a person that may be emotionally disturbed, whatever, can be just as strong as anyone else. But you know what? The thing about, and then people said, he's just saying because he didn't do it. So let me tell you about my little history, and I'll tell it quick. So when I was out of shape, going in academy, and I ran during the February month, which is freezing cold out there, from 23rd Street to the Williamsburg Bridge and back, I was out of shape. And I still did it in 11 minutes. You know what that is? Qualifying. 11 minutes is much faster than is required. So when I got in shape, I ran a little bit over 7 minutes. So I did all the standards. And I didn't know they were unlawful and illegal, but I know now. So that's why I'm going to do as much as I can to help people, because it's all these things they're doing to people. It just screens out good candidates. And if you go on my website, you can read about it. Now you know why there's no height requirements and all this stuff. But the bottom line is, if you're going to subject your applicants, you have to be a fair system, not just arbitrary bullshit. And the runners like that way, the psychological. And by the way, I spoke to someone about the psychological the other day. And don't you know what? The person that evaluated her is not even a licensed psychologist. It's just ridiculous, man. But I'm waiting for the state to give me all that information. And also, Tish, and whoever listens to it for her, I'm going back to the 1980s, because that's how long I think you've been doing it. All this unlicensed felony fucking plain doctor bullshit, just as bad as the lawyers and the hair test that's not even written in the federal or the Food and Drug Administration guidelines. You can only test for fluids, bodily fluids, no hair. Where the fuck you'll get that from? It's just they've been getting away with a murder. And where are the unions? Silent. I wish I was a union attorney. I could charge a firm. I could build my firm. I could charge them millions of fucking dollars and don't do shit, because they don't do anything. And I know they're going to get offended, but I'm a civil rights advocate. I have a different animal to play with other than trying to go along to get along. I'm not trying to go. I'm trying to break systems. That's what I do.
I have the same. I don't like the system with the way it's built. And I see the comments here, and it's like even Pat Downey saying the physical appearance of academy graduates over the 5-10 years, the last 5-10 years noticeably different than 15-25 years ago.
True.
And you know why? True. The standards have completely changed, because I always was one. You know what the FBI does? You have to pass a fitness test every year. Every year you do a fitness test. Now that is different than saying I could run 1.5 miles.
Exactly. And you know what? When I first came on, that used to be in a patrol guy. Look, there's stuff that people do. There's no way you could do this shit when I was on job. You couldn't have colored fingernails. You couldn't have long nails. You couldn't have fucking braids. You couldn't have none of that shit. It's got to be tapered, no beard, clean shaven, no fucking tattoos all over your place like you're going to. I mean, come on already. None of that stuff was allowed. You couldn't carry personal cell phone. You had to get special permission to get a cell phone or a personal a pager back then. Now they're all combining a cell phone. The bottom line is there's so much stuff that's different these days. It's crazy what's going on. But the bottom line is everything changes with time. But if you're going to impose a standard, it still has to be a scientific standard, not personal preferences, not people's feelings, a standard.
A standard.
And you know that JST is good because you have to jump over the wall and run up and down the stairs, because really that's what police work is. If you can't run up goddamn stairs, you're in trouble.
Exactly.
Because your partner may need you, right? So running 1.5 miles or 3 miles ain't going to fucking get you up 4 flights of stairs. It's not going to happen. It's a different type of running.
This happened to me. I told you I would run. I could run. Like I told you, I ran a guy right after a guy once for 1.5 blocks, and this guy was as fast as guy I've ever seen. He was as fast as the wind, and as fast as I was, I could not catch this guy. But now I got to run upstairs. I'm going to tell you, to go from the bottom to the 5th floor, all the way to the roof, and try to do this fast. I felt like I was running like when I first started running, where you'd be out of breath after 5 minutes. You feel that going that 5 flight of stairs. I go, but I could run 15 miles, and it's different muscles, which is why the 1.5 mile run is a joke. It doesn't mean anything. I know some people get offended, but listen, Just because Joe Cop did it in 1970 and left it like you have to do it because I did it, it means nothing. You can I did it, so you have to do it. The standards are always one standard. We didn't even know what the standards. They keep moving the goalposts, but it's not a standard. It never was. It was just probably these older guys on the job said, I did it, so you would have to do it too, that seems to be something a lot of people do in the NYPD. Because I did it, you need to do it too.
I mean, we could really talk about all the stuff, and we could talk about the trigger pulls and everything else to go with. They used to be, before they used to have revolvers, they used to double cock them. I mean, so all kinds of shit. So things change over time. But you know what's interesting about this? What they didn't talk about, but I'm going to give you a little tip because I like leaking things on your story because it's beautiful. I don't talk to the legacy media because they're full of shit. But anyway, what they had them doing is they had them bear crawling on the floor. Now, last time I checked, police officers don't bear crawl. I mean, if you've been shot at, maybe you might do that. But bear crawling, I mean, what's this, a fucking joke? Are you trying to graduate and train police officers? Or you're playing a fucking Hayes game? This is not the military. They're not being trained to kill people. They're not being trained to fucking run 15 miles with fucking 80 pounds of equipment on their back. No, that's not police work. And their reality, people's reality about what it is all bullshit. It's about their personal feelings.
Yeah, I could see. I mean, Lone Silences running a long distance flat is much different than running a shorter distance with any sort of incline.
Damn skippy it is. There's a big difference. And then you have to fight with people. You got to cuff them. And you have to be able to control them. That's a lot more important as a police officer because that's going to save your life.
And you know something?
All you got to do look at the internet and see all these cops that are fucking out of shape. They can't fucking cuff people. They can't do shit.
Oh, it's bad. And someone said, you know, ESU, which was really the A team, they have their own training. And some of that training that they do, I believe, should be implemented in the police academy for new recruits. And once a year, you have to do this. And I think ESU has a lot of different stuff. They rope climbing, all that. Now, that stuff, that's what you would be doing. Rope climbing builds your muscles up top. When you're tussling with someone, you need to have your muscles, whether it's your chest, your shoulders, your back, your arms. You're grappling.
Yes.
A mile and a half is not gonna. And I another thing too, I heard it's about staying in the fight. If you could run a mile and a half, no. When you're grappling with someone who's heavier than you, when you're training and they're telling you, like when you do the push-ups and they say hold, the reason they're doing it, that's what's for your mental ability to stay in a fight. Not running a mile and a half. I'm telling you, I was always flabbergasted. So what does this mile and a half do? What is this going to do for someone? And for some people, they could do it in 9 minutes, 8 minutes. One guy did it. The record, when I was in police academy in 2008, somebody ran it, I believe, in 7 minutes, a mile and a half. That's 7:30. It was some crazy number. All right. Does that help this guy if he's grappling with someone? I don't know.
That's the point. That is precisely the point. Okay, you get there now. Now you got the endurance. You can run. Okay, but what's going to happen when you fucking have to grab their ass? Or what happens when they try to take your fucking gun from you? Because it's going to, if you're out long enough, you work in some of these heavy command, people are going to fucking try that. All you got to do is, did you see the case in Ohio? You saw the case in Ohio where the kid misfired a gun because obviously the cop didn't fucking search him. They were going to arrest him for shoplifting. Meanwhile, he's sitting there with next to his girlfriend with no fucking cuffs on. And then he pulls a gun and it misfires. You hear the click, click, and then he knees him in the chest. I said, oh my God. These days, these people wouldn't last under my era, man. They'd have been fucking in the hospital.
They were that close.
No, the problem with the group of people I was with, matter of fact, so a little earlier this morning, I stopped in 113, and those who think I hate cops, I still actually talk to cops and go in command. Why? Because I'm pro-cop. You'll think I'm negative, but I'm not. So I went to old 113, my old command, and there was a guy in there that he was a class after me. So my tax number is 894340. See how I still remember off the top of my head? That means I would be in the top 50 in the police department if I was still hanging around right now. So let me tell you, he talked about how the 113 changed so much. And he said, yeah. He said, I don't remember when they used to shoot at us all the time. I said, yeah, people used to shoot at cops all the time. That's like fucking common shit. This is a different world, man. And even today's world, I don't know what's going on with these police officers. It's scary because they're not in shape. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. So that mile and a half run in the academy don't mean shit, because then they come out and they're not in shape anyway. What's the point? Someone's going to try to take your gun. They're going to fight you. You're going to do everything in the world. You better know how to protect yourself and your partner.
Yep, and that's why I said the mile and a half. I needed you to address this because there's been a lot of chatter amongst retired people on X.
Yeah, whatever.
DEI gets thrown around. Meanwhile, there's people suing on both sides of the spectrum. On one end, saying 2 cops
right?
couldn't get in because they were Caucasian. On the other instance, the numbers show that more Caucasians get promoted than anyone else on the job. So then it's a lawsuit with a class action the other way. You can't have it both ways. I'm lost with that word, with the DEI thing. No, it's who's closest to the king gets their way. Right. That's the problem. But how do you put that in a lawsuit? I don't know. Because you can't write what you want to get what you. That's the truth.
Oh, yeah. This guy, Dr. Donahue, talked about verbal judo. I remember that one.
Oh, yeah.
De-escalation. I mean, look, sometimes these things work, but you still have to be able to, because remember, police work, it changes like that. It could be nothing, and then bam, it's all hell breaks loose in 2 seconds. You got to be prepared for this. And a mile and a half doesn't prepare the cop for shit. It really doesn't.
And I think the JST should have more things involved in it. Like I said, ESU kind of training, because that is where the fight is, not the 1 mile and a half run. And I'm sorry, I've been in cars. I've been in a car with people that probably can't run 1.5 miles in 13 minutes. Did it affect me? No, I trusted my own ability. I always went home, right? So I know what I'm doing. So even if my partner, whoever I work with, if it wasn't my regular partner, couldn't physically run or whatever like me, I know what I could do, and I'm worried about me. And if they, I just tell them what to do if any situation occurred. But again, you're not running after someone for 1.5 miles. It's going to be bang, bang. Things happen real quick.
Mostly everything is bang, bang. Look at these 2 police officers the other day. 1170 Namyoke. 1170 Namyoke is in a 101, my former command, right? It's my first permanent command. That's in Sector Boy, which is, see how I know stuff off the top of my head? It's maybe a couple blocks in the precinct. They tried a taser, and years ago, they didn't give you tasers. Now everyone has a taser. They use a taser. That didn't work. Discharge your weapon. And that's how fast it can happen. They went there for a dispute. I'm sure they never thought they would have to use a taser. They never thought they would have to discharge a weapon, a female officer, but she had to discharge it. Why? Because that's what police work is. You never know what you're going to confront. And the parents were standing there. And that's why things that are more simulate what happens in the field, and I'm sure that was less than 10 feet away. That was even shorter than the 7-yard line. 7-yard line is 21 feet. That's why when they have you go 3 feet, they're not doing that because, it makes it easy for you to shoot. Because that's where the shit is going to happen. It's going to happen at arm's length. So running 1.5 miles don't mean shit.
And I got this one too. This is the best, one of the best comments. Shakes Magoo says they don't toss perps like we used to toss perps. If people don't understand that lingo, that's when you do the search or the pat down. I don't know how that guy had a gun inside of Walmart. See, this is what I'm talking about. The standards of who you're hiring, that is what's been lowered. Why? I don't know. A lot of people get in because they know people. I mean, there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah. I say police work's not for everyone.
No.
Police officers, by definition, should be aggressive. They have to be, because that's the nature of the business.
Yeah, you can't be
What I'm going to say about that, they have to be a controlled aggression. So when they go out there, you interact with people, but you're not there to play with them either. You say, when I tell you to do something, I want you to follow this shit. I don't want you to give me and if you fucking yank that, they may give me a complaint, then fuck it, then take a complaint. What would you rather, take the complaint and survive, or would you rather be hurt or your partner be hurt or killed because you're being too passive? Fuck it. Follow the rules. As long as you follow the rules, you'll be protected. It's when you don't follow the rules is when you get messed up.
Yeah, and I'd say one last thing. I remember this. I think they got rid of this. When we were in the at the range, all the way in the Bronx, where in City Island, they used to do this thing to us. We'd show up, and if you remember, they'd say, "Okay, now your guns were empty," and they'd say, "All right, go on the ground and do a few push-ups. Your heart's elevated. Now draw, and like you have and you'd have to, with all that energy, have your gun out." See, something like that is what is more reasonable to what you're going to experience as a cop. than running a mile and a half. You got your heart going. He said they put you like run in position, like do like 10 seconds of your knees jumping up, do a couple push-ups, then boom, draw your weapon. See, and that is what a cop would endure versus running a mile and a half. I'm not for, like I said, going back to my first day in the academy, I said, what the hell is the mile and a half? What is this about? When it's all about close battles, grappling, and also situations where it's usually bang, bang. You're not chasing the guy for a mile and a half. I'm sorry.
No.
I want a guy, if it's up to me, I want a guy that trains, or girl 5 days a week in the gym at least and spends 2 hours a day or a mile and a half, an hour and a half a day versus running a mile and a half. If you could run like I did, that's great, but it doesn't guarantee you victory in a close battle. That's all.
You see the state train up there? See, that's what it was. Yeah. The 60s and the 70s, 60s, and then the 90s, because I'm from the late 80s, man. Let me tell you something. You had the cops that like to fight. Every tour has them. They have the fighters. They say, oh, hold on. I got the perfect people for you. Or I don't want to see you on the street. Get the fuck on the street. Oh, you shouldn't talk to me. I said, good. You know how I'm going to keep people from shooting all over the place? Get the fuck off the mother. I don't want to see your ass out here. I don't give a fuck. Remember, Sanders, 23973. Make sure you spell it right, too. But I don't want to see your ass on the fucking street. And the other thing these cops don't do, and they have the aspartame. That's one of the best tools in the world. I don't see anybody using it.
Oh,
listen, years ago, you had to take the nightstick and forget to carry it with you because you had to do the nightstick carrier. Then they went that TJ Hooker shit with the handle and all that stuff. The aspartame, you can fuck somebody up with and say, what? Bam. I don't see them using it because they're too busy trying to grapple with people. They don't pay you to grapple with them if you don't have to. They don't comply with you, so good. They'll fucking whap your ass. Fucking good. And that's it. But they play with them too much. That's why all these cops are getting hurt. Because they don't do what they're supposed to. So getting back, that all goes to the training because they're so afraid to be police officers that, they worry about a mile and a half. Yeah, all you guys run a mile and a half, and then 2 years later, you're fucking 300 pounds. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. You should be in shape. Oh, you mean academy, you're only supposed to be in shape? Nah. They shouldn't reimpose that whole requirements that you keep in shape. Maybe every 3 years, but that gives the people incentive to do what? Take care of themselves, because what's going to kill you is your weight.
Yeah, I agree. So I got one last thing. Obviously, I'm going to ask you before, and it's you're synonymous with this. Me, Richie Taylor. What is going on with Richie Taylor? And there's an investigation on him. He's working from home, allegedly. That's what he said in his interview, because I didn't know that. I thought that was asinine. Janice Smith, remember her trial room? What did they say? Scott Henderson? Oh, he's a rank above him, but what he did, no, you can't approve that she could work from home, even though he did. So how is he working from home?
Anyone that believes that, you're fucking like we're stupid or something. We've been around long enough. The problem is, at one point, so a little bit more history. At one point, they had uniformed prosecutors in the advocate's office,
Mm-hmm.
There was a better fit because they at least understood what the hell was going on. These civilian advocates don't know what the fuck is going on. They let people blow smoke up their ass. They don't know what the experiences are, but yet they argue so vigorously. Yeah, and this and that and the other. I said, you know how many times I've seen this? 1 million times. And I would look at something and I would go, oh, Greco's being accused of so-and-so? Send that shit back to the command. Oh, we're going to bring charges. I don't give a fuck. Send it back to the command. Right now, while we're talking, that's going on in some command in the city. I don't want to hear that nonsense, and I'm not here to push your personal agendas. Send that shit back to the command. That's most of the trial room stuff right there.
Yep.
Cops don't get terminated for corruption. When's the time you see police officers stealing money and all this other bullshit that the public talk about? Oh, the cops are corrupt. They're corrupt. They're not getting terminated for that. You know what they're getting terminated for? I saw this person in a picture and they're associating. Oh, this person got in a domestic incident with his girlfriend. Yeah, I know he said it's not true, but we believe, and we believe, and we believe, and that's always the evidence. Isn't that true, Sal? We believe. What the fuck you believe? That's not evidence of what? We believe?
I think
Taylor, he does what the hell he wants to do. But of course, I shouldn't call the savior, Police Commissioner Jessica Estes, she decides that she's going to let Mr. Richard Taylor take a slide. And I said, Taylor, and that's Richard S. Taylor. So you can try to claim you're going to sue me or whatever. I don't really fucking care. I'm not afraid of you. Everyone's trying to go after me, and they've all failed, including something recently someone tried to do to me. They failed too. Now they got an investigation against them. See, that's what happened. You play with me. But anyway, he did it, and they did nothing about it. But more importantly, before we go, are you going to address that one thing about the hypocrite and the employee? That's very important for the people to hear.
The hypocrite and the employee. Well, if you're talking about a certain lawyer.
No. A certain employee that works for the person who's in charge. And they went from agency to agency as a executive assistant.
Would that be Kaz Dordry?
No, the woman with the pay for Tish.
Oh, yes.
Don't forget that. That's actually a good one, because there's a hypocrite in action.
We do have that up, that we had that Jessica Tish, soccer mom. She does have somebody who's her special assistant. Her name is Jessica Diaz. You can look this up. She has made an insurmountable amount of overtime as a secretary. There's a lot more, but this person has followed her for about 13 years, from her starting the ITT all the way to the sanitation till now. She works under a different code, so you're not going to find her, but she's in the One Police Plaza, and this person, just one person in particular, goes by special project manager, and we no one can figure out how she even got there or why she's there. And this is someone that's close to Tish, just like that attorney who doesn't have his law degree or whatever. So this is the stuff that she's doing that nobody wants to talk about. And $170,000 she made, apparently. You can pull it up if you want, because I had it up before I looked at it. It was ridiculous. That's just a civilian. That one's coming. That's one person, but that person in particular, because it's too close to the soccer mom to say, what's going on there?
Oh, I want to be like that. I mean, I'm in the wrong business. I mean, I'm out here fighting people and getting myself all worked up. Can I get myself in part of this group? Just can I have can I have a piece of my crumb? Okay, this administration is the crumbs, but I want to be a meat eater. I want to be like a meat eater. I don't want grass. Just let me be a meat eater just for 1 year, just to make some money, baby. That's all I'm asking for. I don't have to work. Why can't I do it? They won't put me in the meat eater group. Why not? Or what's the other one? The spoils system. Oh yeah, just let me have a little spoils. That's all. I know.
Civil service was supposed to stop that.
Yeah, civil service was stop the merit and fitness system. Yeah, okay. It still goes on.
It clearly didn't. This has been a great time with you, Eric. You got a lot of people can follow you at ESQ_Sanders on X. And I hope you have a Merry Christmas and a good New Year, because in the New Year, I'm pretty sure you'll be back on. It'll be something we're going to break. There's a lot going on. You kind of hear the drip, drip, drip of it. We see a certain drunk who's limping around, making the case even better. We'll put it all together in January. You'll be hearing about it.
No, he's not drunk. He's just misguided. He's misguided. Or like what's that? Henry, that guy Hart said. He just have a misguided youth. Remember, he's having all the affairs in Congress. Remember that guy? Yeah. Meanwhile, he was about 75 years old. This guy's close to it.
That's right.
And he's upset because you got a ponytail. You look better than him. That's his problem.
What is 7? I don't know. I lost count. 7 troll accounts. The placard union now went after that account. It's ridiculous. I can't believe what I'm seeing. I can't believe it.
Take it easy.
So we'll talk. There you go. Yeah, there's a lot going on with that. And by the way, you were right, Marlon. It's Information Technology Project Specialist Jessica Diaz. That's what it. I don't know. There's so many titles under her. She's in One Police Plaza, so maybe might be watching the show. Who knows? You could check her out and say, How did this slip through? Soccer mom, but more to come on that one. So without any further ado, let's have Jack on, give his producer's take. I know you got a lot of this breaking news, even though what I just said is nobody knows about this woman, but the soccer mom's going to have a lot to answer for.
Yeah, tons of breaking news. I feel like fireworks were popping off left and right while we were on the air today. So let me just get right into it. Mayor Eric Adams has appointed Mark Gura to serve as his new FDNY fire commissioner for the next week, because remember, he's only the mayor for another week, and then Zoran Mamdani is going to take over. More on that in just a second. But
this guy's a joke. What is he doing? He's a mayor for another week. He's not even in the country.
Yeah, it's a very egotistical move. He needs a fire commissioner for his final week of the tenure in City Hall that he's failed at. So he appointed Gura. I'm going to politely push back on what Eric Sanders was just saying, because Gura is clearly a quote-unquote diversity hire. Part of the FDNY's Hispanic and Latino society, has been very involved with those communities, the bureaucratic level. And, he served as an executive officer in the ceremonial unit as well, which, as many of you know, gets you a little bit closer to the center of the earth when it comes to making an impression on management. So kind of built his resume up in that regard. But Mamdani is appointing Lillian Bonsignor as his new FDNY commissioner. But remember, Bonsignor retired back in 2022. So she is yet another retread that he is bringing back for his administration, and a growing list of them, right? Dean Foulahan, his deputy mayor, worked under Bill de Blasio. Bonsignor was a former FDNY commissioner. There have been rumors that he wanted to bring back Abbasi as his deputy mayor for public safety. I don't know if that ends up happening, but this is just a really weird situation where Eric Adams is appointing someone for 1 week to be his fire commissioner, someone who seems grossly unqualified on paper, and then Mamdani makes an appointment of someone who left the department 4 years ago, and there's hardly any creativity to it, as he promised on the campaign trail.
For me, I one thing just stuck out. Eric Adams now has had 4 fire commissioners and 4 NYPD police commissioners. Just so you know, just throw that out there. He loves the 4 horsemen. He's had 4 horsemen in 2 agencies and 2 sanitation commissioners as well. Wow. This guy's reign has been nothing but destructive.
Yeah, it's been nothing but destructive and also disgraceful, but let's pass the baton of blame over to Mamdani for just a second, because all we heard about on the campaign trail was about how he was going to be making out-of-the-box appointments, how he was looking for creative ways to fundraise despite asking the public for $3 million after winning the election. Then he appoints Catherine DaCosta as his director of appointments, who was supposed to be the brainchild behind making hires within his administration. She resigns after 24 hours over anti-Semitic posts that she put up years ago. One about, I think it was the A train to Far Rockaway being the Jew train. And then another one was about how Jewish people are supposed to have a lot of money. Mamdani really looked to turn the page on some of his very anti-Semitic posts that he put out years ago. He wanted to establish a new identity. And thus far, his transition phase has been nothing short of an unmitigated disaster all the way around.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems that Mamdani has issues with his appointments already. Like I said, I told people he doesn't know politics as good as you think. It's one thing to run for something, and it's another thing to govern. And you're seeing that. I told you so. And I told you 3-card Mamdani. Now look, it's all going to be unveiled. And trust me, nobody wishes anybody bad here, but you have a guy who's learning on the job, and you just had a guy that was so corrupt and sold the city out that you're probably in debt as far as New York City goes. And now you have a guy who doesn't know what he's doing, and he's learning. And he's hiring people, retreads from the de Blasio and Eric Adams administration, and now we're going to have 2 fire commissioners in 1 week. I don't know.
Yeah, and Ron Layson points out here that there's a rumor that Deputy Commissioner of Department of Community Safety is retired Chief Terry Tobin. She retired as Chief of Interagency Operations. What's the deal with Mamdani bringing back people who seemingly peaked out in city government for positions that they were never qualified for when they were actually working? Because let's just address the elephant in the room. Lillian Bonsignor never qualified to be the chief of the FDNY. That was well established at the time of her retirement, right? Dean Foulahan, pretty decent job under de Blasio at budgeting, but he's now the deputy mayor, 40 years younger than Mamdani. So that's already a very awkward dynamic. Someone who knows a lot about city government, someone who's literally never worked in city government, worked in state government as a state assemblyman. Then you have Catherine DaCosta, who was supposed to be the expert, 31 years old, very inexperienced, gone within a day. Like, where have been all of these good appointments that he was promising to make on the campaign trail, telling people he was going to be creative and bringing fresh, young, new faces to City Hall? The fresh faces that he's bringing in are totally incompetent. The retreads that he's bringing in are totally incompetent. That's the only thing that they share in common, and it seems like a recipe for disaster all the way around.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. I already see the beginning part of this administration. You're still living the Eric Adams ending. So it's like, so I don't know what to say. There's going to be a lot coming forward. Like I said, I know a lot about a lot of things that I haven't said yet. Cronyism still going on, and things that are attached to him and things around him. So, I was hoping that he would not be like this, but I mean, like I said, he's learning on the job. That was the risk you all took by voting for him, and now you're going to suffer the consequences. And to say, I get to say, I told you so, pointing a finger. I mean, I told you so. I told you it was going to be like this. You don't know anything. Okay, I don't know anything. And then what are you all saying now? Oh, my God, he doesn't know anything. Oh.
You can't walk in a straight line without slipping over his own 2 feet. And it's only been 4 or 5. I mean, this all started, too, when he went on the Somos expedition with Letitia James and Jimmy Rodriguez and all of the bigwigs in New York City politics, when they run away and hide from all of us because they don't want to be accountable. But, there were warning signs from day one. We tried to expose them. People didn't want to listen. And now, unfortunately, they're going to have to face the consequences. It's important to remember here, too, that over 50% of New Yorkers voted for a candidate whose agenda was based on promises that they openly knew could never be met. So have fun with that. But as we're doing the show, I also get this message in my inbox that there's going to be a special premiere in New York City tonight for the new movie Marty Supreme, about the table tennis player who's being played in a new movie by Timothy Chalamet, or however you pronounce his name. But as it pertains to the announcement, it's all about John Catsimatidis and how we're going to be seeing a movie that he's starring in. And when I scroll down to the Who section, I see Catsimatidis, but I strangely enough see the standing governor, Kathy Hochul, and her opponent is also on the short list of attendees. Bruce Blakeman, Nassau County Executive, is going to be there, as will be State Comptroller Tom DiNapoli, who exposed the crap out of Andrew Cuomo years ago. This is living proof that this is a real-life WWE match, right? Because you have all the peasants who are not invited to the premiere. Then you have all the big, important people. There's a list of 5 of them on here. And Kathy Hochul and Bruce Blakeman, who are about to be clawing for each other's necks as they try and win over voters in New York City, are quietly hanging out with one another, sitting in the VIP section before the WWE match takes place. Yeah. Just take notes about what's going on so you're not surprised when you get a conclusion that's unfavorable.
Of course. And who's in the middle of it? John Catsimatidis. I don't know. There's Jimmy Rodriguez on that list too. Is the Caban brother. Just add Eric Adams, add the clown show. This is unbelievable. Oh, by the way, Curtis Sliwa is back on the air on 710 WOR. Right now, he's subbing for Mark Simone. Go back to yesterday. He had a lot to say about certain people at WABC. It's 10 in the morning. He's going to be doing this until January 2nd, and then I believe he might get his own show again. And he's rattling off a lot of stuff. I would check it out even on a replay, and you'll hear about what went down on the campaign and what went on behind the scenes. But you heard it here as it happened on the Sal Greco Show and on the Fires Unfiltered Network. So without any further ado, Jack, what do we have on tap tonight for the 10-4 Tavern?
Yeah, we have a very, very exciting show tonight on tap with the 10-4 Tavern. Tom Joyce and Peter Forcelli obviously will be back at it, and they will be joined by Monty Bynum from the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. He's done pretty much everything: alcohol, tobacco, narcotics, drugs. Very interesting career. He's going to have some great perspective on what's going on right now in America, the United States, and what's taking place at the border. So be sure to tune in live at 19:05 military time on the Finest Unfiltered YouTube channel. It's going to be a fantastic show.
There you go, Jack. I would tell you Merry Christmas, but I really want to say Happy Hanukkah.
I appreciate it, Sal. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me. Merry Christmas to you. And as a early Christmas gift, you got the trade of Jeff McNeil yesterday. He's now gone from the Mets.
God.
I feel like when you're traded to the Sacramento A's or the Oakland A's or the Las Vegas A's, whatever you want to call them, and you're going to be going and playing in Sacramento where there's 110-degree real fields all throughout the summer in an open air stadium. That's like being sentenced to purgatory and being sent to gulag. It's like you want to sign with the Baltimore Orioles, play at Camden Yards, be my guest. You want to go out west, be with the Los Angeles Dodgers, you can win another World Series. You go to the Sacramento A's, yikes, you have an owner that doesn't want to invest 5 cents in building a new clubhouse, a team that's absolutely horrible on paper playing at a minor league stadium. It's incredibly hot. Go have fun, Jeff McNeil. You were complaining about being in the locker room with Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto, how you didn't like the chemistry there. Now you're really in for a rude awakening.
He's in the minors now. He won the minor league stadium. That's ridiculous.
That's going to be funny to see. But Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to those of you out there that celebrate and are watching. We hope that you have a great holiday with your family as well.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Jack. And tomorrow also at the Executive Perspective is going to have revisit the initial interview that Ron had with John and Eric. That'll be on Wednesday. It's for a replay, 17:05, 5:05 Eastern. And the following Wednesday, they'll have Rob Lukash's initial interview with John and Eric airing. So that's what you'll have because obviously it's Christmas Eve tomorrow. So that's a wrap here from the Sal Greco Show. Thank you all. I love you all in the comments, all the fans, all the haters as well. I'll be back next Tuesday. So to all of you out there, I want to wish you not only a happy Hanukkah, but a Merry Christmas. Stay, very close with your family. It's all about the family. All right. If you're out there rank and file, please stay warm. Don't get cold, hungry, or wet. And please, if you see anything that's corrupt, you document it and try to find me, John, or Eric, or Marlon. Okay, we'll report on it. Just keep that in mind. All right. But to the rest of you, have a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, and I'm signing off from South Florida, which, as you know, is a sunny place for shady people. Now, I know you're tired of searching on the web for things and not getting the results you're looking for. I have something for you. FreeSpoke. FreeSpoke is a search engine that is all about authenticity rather than agendas. Labels, media bias, no intrusions, or data leaking or your data being taken from you. Porn free, none of those ads, unlimited, unbiased AI, deep dive podcast searching, and you can get it by going to freespoke.app.link/Greco. Use the same link to get a 35% discount on your premium subscription. What are you waiting for, folks? This is the way of the future. FreeSpoke.
What I'm asking New Yorkers for is to look back at all the things I've done as a deputy commissioner for operations, the assistant commissioner, and my time as a not only as a New Yorker but as a police officer. I get stuff done.
Listen, there was a book that came out that Jasmine Ray wrote, and in the Daily News today, it was stated that there was a sexual action that happened in Borough Hall to be put in that book. And it wasn't. You're a dog sick person, man. You know that? You're a dog sick person. Your name was on the byline. And there's some of you that have been covering me. You guys could part. Let me do this. Y'all could depart. Y'all could depart. You've been covering me for 3.5 years. Some of you are so sick and dark, and you're the leader of that. You're one of the most dark that I've ever seen in this city. And your personal sick vendetta and the sickness of how you think of over-sexualizing a black man, that in the book is stated that there was a sexual action in Borough Hall. That was never in the book. But that's typical of the sickness and the darkness of your sick mind. You're one of the sickest reporters I know. Go to the next question. You're a sick person.